Victoria's ombudsman has found authorities were warned that gangland figure Carl Williams was at serious risk more than a year before he was bashed to death in prison. Williams died after being hit with part of an exercise bike by a fellow prisoner at the Barwon Prison 2 years ago. Let's go to reporter Francis Bell at State Parliament in Melbourne. So, Francis, why did the ombudsman conclude that Carl Williams was at risk?
Well, Ros, despite being a notorious gangland kingpin, at the time of Carl Williams' murder by his fellow cellmate Matthew Johnson at Barwon Prison 2 years ago, Carl Williams was actually cooperating with police. He was a key witness in a murder investigation relating to a former police officer. Now, initially Carl Williams wanted to share a cell with Matthew Johnson. He told authorities that that was what he wanted. But the Ombudsman details a number of events between 2009 and 2010 which meant that the dynamic between the two prisoners was changing, and specifically that Matthew Johnson was known as a prisoner who had a hatred for police informants. And so that was the critical thing that changed in terms of the dynamic between the two prisoners, which posed a risk to Carl Williams' safety.
And were these warnings specifically related to Matthew Johnson, the man who ended up killing him?
Yes, they were, Ros. Specifically and critically, 15 months before Carl Williams was murdered, there was an email sent to the Department of Justice Secretary Penny Armitage from the then Acting Commissioner of Corrections. That email did a risk assessment of placing the two prisoners in the same cell together, and it specifically said that there was little doubt that Johnson was capable of causing Williams harm. Now, that warning was made, as I mentioned, 15 months before the murder, but Corrections Victoria didn't act on that warning. Instead, they took the advice of Victoria Police, which advised that it would be fine for the two prisoners to be kept together. And then, of course, 15 months later, we find that Carl Williams was murdered.
And Francis, what else did the Ombudsman say about what happened on the day of the murder itself?
Ros, the entire Ombudsman's report is incredibly scathing of the handling of this whole affair by Corrections Victoria. It says that it took 27 minutes for prison staff to even find out that Carl Williams had been killed. It says that the crime scene was compromised because 40 prison staff were able to go through the crime scene before it was secured, that the CCTV system within the Acacia unit was unfit for use, and also the murder weapon was critical as well. Carl Williams was murdered with a stem from an exercise bike, a piece of metal rod from an exercise bike, and Matthew Johnson had actually been previously involved in an incident at the prison where a similar piece of weapon, I guess, was used against him by someone who was defending himself against Matthew Johnson. So an incredibly scathing report from the Ombudsman about the failings by Correction Victoria in the lead up to this incident.
Francis, thank you.
Thanks, Ros.